So in this class we will look at how to create WBS, RBS and link it to your project, and also how do you use WBS and RBS to track the progress on your project and how you can do mitigative act. We have created this new project now using the new option here. You can also find that on the drop down menu here on the top right corner. You can see all the active projects which you are involved in right now. You can toggle between them. See, for instance, I can come back to my original project, I can come to the new project that I'm working on, and here let's look at the example of WBS. I think we just had a brief look at this in the previous class. Let's understand WBS here. So when you open this new project, the typical environment is where you have your spreadsheet to your left and the Gantt chart to your right. Now let me create a project summary. So that's the topmost activity in my project. Then I'll have, let me name this main task 1, or let's call it architectural. Okay, architectural package. If I do this, it'll help. Yeah, then I'll call this design scheme 1, design scheme 2, schematic phase, CD, construction documentation, or DD, design documentation, and then construction documentation, and then working drawings. Okay, WD. Let's consider these as architectural packages. Now I'll do the same for structural packages. Okay. Let me copy this entire stuff and paste it there. Okay, I'm gonna do the same for MEP packages. Okay, so I'm just creating a framework for my project right now. All right, so now if I get into my tasks and try to see WBS, see what I'm getting here. It's just a flat structure, right? Because we have not created a package or work breakdown. Let's get back to the Gantt option, and here let's give it more structure now, just the way we did initially. So I'm going to select all of this and indent it in. Okay, then I'm going to select all of these activities and indent them in. I'll do the similar exercise for structural and MP. So we are clear till here, right? We have looked at all of this in the previous class and we all understand how to do this. Now let's see what it does to our WBS. All right. See what has happened now. All of these have now been broken down into those respective packages. And at any given point of time, if I want to control the vision or which part of it I should be able to see, I can simply do that by now I want to see only architectural package specifically, and I want to understand how the package load is for that. And now when I come to WBS, you'll be able to see that the other two packages are rolled in, and I am not able to see the breakdown for that. So this is a very important tool in terms of communication, right? So this is needed to communicate with the client, with the stakeholders, and with the different departments involved in the project as to how they are broken down and what is the requirement at each stage, right? Now we have not assigned any resources or timeline for this as of now, so let's start doing that. Okay, let me consider that the schematic design 1. Yeah, now if I'm looking at schematic design 1 and I say this activity needs to go on for say 5 days. Okay, the same for the above activity. Design scheme 3 also I give 5 days. Schematic phase, let's say I'm giving 8 days to work. DD takes up let's say a month, 30 days. CD takes another 40 days from there, and the working drawing needs 25 days finally to finish. Okay, let's consider that this is how the timeline is split. Now we will start adding resources so that we are able to see how the WBS changes. Okay, so let me consider that all these three design schemes happen simultaneously. That means I am assigning work to one resource in my team. Each resource gets to do this particular job. So I'm going to look at predecessors, and all of these will start together, and for my schematic phase I will say all of these three need to finish, because that's when I will finally decide on which scheme to work on or which scheme to take further. So my predecessors are going to be activity 3, the one which is happening in number 3, number 4 and number 5, right? So 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so this tells me that the relation between all these designs is that once they are done, only then I can go to the
This this we can do by linking also, no, sir?
yeah, you
Last
can
time.
you can drag drop as well. So
Okay.
if I'm dragging and dropping that also, if I'm coming to any one task, okay, I can do drag and drop to connect. Yeah, you can come into any particular task, drag and create the relation with the other one.
Mhm.
This is graphical way of connecting it. This is a way of when you're probably deciding on your planning. So you are looking at these different activities and you're deciding, okay, this needs to finish for me to start this. So that's what I'm doing now. And for me to start with my DD phase, I can probably start it 2 days ahead of schematic phase, because I would have got a fair idea of what is the final scheme which is getting approved, and based on that I can simultaneously start working on my DD phase and not having to wait for approvals, right? So what I'll do now is I'm still going to consider schematic phase, that is item number 6 in the list, to start this activity. However, what I'm going to do is now provide a link to this. Okay, so I'm going to double click on that, and it's going to open the predecessors and successors list for me. And here I can choose the type of connection that I want to have with the predecessor, whether it's finish to start, start to finish, finish to finish, any one of those. So as of now we are taking finish to finish itself, but what we want to do is we also want to give a lag or before time, right? So we want this activity to start 2 days before, right? Notice, sorry, just a minute. My mouse is hanging a lot. Okay, so you can change the connection type at any given point of time when you come into this here under successors and predecessors. Okay. The other way of accessing that information would be by double clicking here on the task, and you will get to the same place. Okay. And the other way of looking at a connection is by clicking on the connection itself. So I am here on the Gantt chart now.
Mm.
Yeah, and here if I click on this, I will get this option of getting to see the type of connection that I am having between the two, and here I am also getting a lag option, right? So I can create a lag option between the two connections. I can either do -2 days or +2 days. So I want to start 2 days before the finish of this, so I'm going to do -2 days. So you can see that it starts 2 days before the end of schematic phase. Okay, clear about this?
Mm.
The same way I'm going to do for this as well. I'm going to give a connection with 7. Okay, but what I'm going to do is tell that this can start a week in advance. Yeah, and the same thing with this. I'm going to create a connection with the previous activity 8. Okay, now when you are in a situation like this where the graph has gone too far, you either have the option of scrolling in like this, or at any given point of time, if you want to see this activity, you can just say scroll to task here, and it will take you to that task.
Okay.
Okay, because the graph is going to go long as you keep progressing, and it will become difficult to keep scrolling up and down. So you can use this button, scroll to task, to easily reach there. Same thing here again. I'm going to start it a week in advance. So I'll do -7, or I'll say that I will have to wait for all the authority approvals and contractor finalization before I start my working drawing. So I'm going to give a break of 7 days between the two activities. Once this activity is done, I have to finalize all the other activities before I start with my working drawing. I can have that kind of scenario as well. So I'll do that, and I'm going to say okay. So you see, once this activity gets over, I have to give a gap of 7 days to start the next activity. Are we clear with this concept?
Yeah. So I just wanted to ask something. The red color denotes your critical path.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The red
So
color
when you have
denotes
a time lag, when you have a time lag, I mean, when you are having a float,
huh?
so it will not show any because it has to be one activity after the other activity, right?
Yeah.
How it is showing that?
Let me show it with an example now. Let's insert one activity here. Okay. I'm going to do a right click here and insert one activity. And I'm going to say this activity is authority approval.
Hmm.
Okay. And this activity takes, let's say, 2 weeks. Okay. And I'm going to say
Okay.
this is going to start with my schematic phase approval. Okay, so this is not connected to my activity number 7, but it's connected to my activity number 6.
Hmm.
Okay, you see, this activity is now not affecting the project in any way,
Hmm.
right? I mean, there are other longer task items which are critical in nature. So I have enough lag and float available for this activity, so that's the reason why it is not in the critical path now.
So generally in critical path method, we have a float zero.
Yeah,
I mean, this is what is
all
basically
these
the rule.
activities
Right?
have zero float.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, the other activity what you have shown is as a 7 days in advance
Huh.
for your working drawing,
Huh.
it is having a float of almost 7 days, right?
No, it is not a float. I am
Uh,
putting an activity constraint. So this activity
okay,
cannot start seven until 7 days is over,
okay,
because there are other
okay.
events which need to happen in between, which I am not capturing in the project management for various reasons. It might be items or line items in the project which don't have a cost bearing on me, or
Mm,
something which I am not necessarily needed to track, right? So things like
okay.
those I will not capture in my project tool, but I will know in the back of my head that they are impacting my project timeline. So I will have to
Mm,
keep that minimum constraint in place. Okay. There is another way of doing this. If you don't want to link it to activity to activity, you can also
mm,
come down to that specific activity. Like let's say I'm coming to activity number 9. Okay. I'm going to come to this activity number 9, and under general settings I have the start date and finish date here. You see that? That is coming based
mm,
on the calendar that we have placed in now. But if I come down to
mm,
advanced, I have constraints which I will look at next. That is the next topic that we're going to look at. So I'll just hold on to this for now. But there are these different constraints you can put for a particular activity, which can either be external in nature or project driven.
mm,
Okay. So if I'm working on effort driven, right? If I'm working on an effort driven project, I would like to start the activities as late as possible, because if I start them early, I'm going to engage my resources into that project. That means I have to pay out for them, right? I have to pay the
mm.
charges which I incur for the resources.
Yes.
So I will do it as late as possible. I'll keep the constraint as late as possible so that it can be started at the last minute possible, so that I have to pay minimum rental or minimum wages to the people involved. But if
Mm,
it's a time driven project, if it's not an effort driven project, if I tick this off, right? If I tick this off and I say it's not effort driven but time driven, then I will have to keep the constraint as soon as possible or as earlier as possible, right? Start no earlier than, or finish no earlier than. I will start putting those constraints in place because I would want to finish the project as quickly as possible. Money is not the constraint
mm,
at that time, right? So we will come to that in some time, but just keeping you aware that this 7 days is not the float of the project.
mm.
Okay. We will actually add that as well. We will see how to add free floats and measure that in the Gantt chart, and your schedule here table. Okay. So now if I am looking at the WBS here, you see it's still showing me the table, only the table, and it's telling me the cost assigned is 0. Okay. The cost assigned here is 0 because I have not assigned any resources to these activities as of now. Thereby budget is also not allocated, right? So let's come back to Gantt chart and let's now try to understand how we can start allocating these. And the first thing you will have to do in order to start seeing implication of cost is you have to start adding resources to the project, right? Until then it's all only timelines. So for us to do that, we will go to resources, and here you can look at the resources view, and it will open up this resource spreadsheet for you. It doesn't have any chart or connectivity. Here you only purely start adding resources, whichever resources you need for the project. So let me I think I created a list. Let me just open that. Yeah, project resource list. Okay, let me just consider that these are the people I have for my design team. Okay, I have one design head, I have 3 designers. Okay, so I'm not giving any name to them. You can change their initials here. This is system driven, so it is taking the first alphabet by default. You can change this to whatever names you have. So I can say this D2, D3, and this person is design head. So this is basically identifying people by initials. Why we need this? When you get down to your Gantt chart, the resources allocated show up there, right? And if you have too many people to look at with long form names, it becomes difficult and cluttered. So this is available for that purpose. Here you can also convert a resource to either a work based resource or a material based resource. Material based resources will be your site material which comes to site, your tiles, your paint, all that will be material resource. Your machinery will also go under material resource because they are not bound by time,
Okay.
right? So as of now we will keep this as work resource. Okay, now let us, okay, RBS is gonna, we will look at RBS in some time on how it impacts the resource breakdown structure. You can add in your employees email IDs here, and if it's a material you can give the label. I mean, what kind of material is that, you can give that label here. These are basically things which will help you in tracking later. We will get into that in depth of why email ID or employee number can be very helpful. You can start generating your billing as well from here. Okay, so this group basically talks of which group, which work group these people come under. So when you're looking at basically large projects where you have a set of architects, within architects you have a set of people who work only on facade, a set of people who work only on say flooring, a set of people who work only on circulation, then you need this kind of grouping as well. You can't just call them an architect, you are billing them for a particular work package, right? So you can do that grouping here. For now, let me call all of them arc package, okay, because they're all in that same package. I'm going to put them in the same group. Okay, now here max units. So how much percentage of their time can be allocated to this project? That's the restriction that we are putting in here. So naturally design head will not be working on only one project, only this project. So I'm going to consider the design head giving in only 20% of their time to this project. And let's consider that the other 3 designers who are working, who are going to do our initial design and then the schematic, all of them are fully involved in the project. Okay, so they are all giving 100% allocation to this project. Their standard rates, you can give a rough number. I just typed in 1300, 300, 225. So I'm going to type the same thing here. So this person costs this person costs me 1000. It's just when you double click on that, it opens the resource page. Nothing to worry. This person costs me 300. This person also costs me 300. And let's consider this as junior architect, so 225 per hour. Now I can also give overtime. If
Sir, are all these units preset itself, the rupees per hour and things like that, or do we need to set the units?
yes, it is preset depending on when you're initially installing, you can register. I will come to
Okay.
that as well.
Okay.
You can work on multiple currencies and multiple locations as well.
Sure, sir. Sure.
So I will come to that in some time. It's there. I'll show that as well, where you can do that. Okay, so here in the overtime option, you can add in overtime. So where will this overtime come in? People who are being made to work more than the stipulated 8 hour. Remember we saw it in the calendars last time. And if you are making an exception and making a person work beyond those scheduled 8 hours or the weekly 5 days or 6 day calendar, this will come into picture. I will show where this happens. Okay, overtime rates can also be shown. Cost per use. Now what does this mean? This is a very specific scenario where, let's assume one of these designers whom you have here is coming from a very far off place and is utilizing campus ka vehicle. Okay, but on a particular day when you are asking them to come, they cannot utilize the campus vehicle, or for some given reason, for 1 month you don't have campus vehicle for them or the site vehicle for them. That means they have to do some expenditure from their end to come to the site or come to the office on a daily basis. That needs to be reimbursed to them, right? So when those kind of activities are there, that comes in here. Or if you're calling in a consultant, right? Let's assume that the head of design whom we have here, yeah, so whenever they are coming from different location, you need to take care of their travel arrangement and their accommodation. So that's an overhead cost, right, which is not directly billed in the project right now. So those kind of scenarios can come here. So let's assume that the design head is not from our place and he comes from somewhere else to deal with this project. So the 20% that they are giving to this project, every time we incur a bill for them. So let's assume that we end up spending 4,000 rupees for that person. And let's say all of these guys are sorry, 500 rupees per hour. So let's assume that these are the only two who are eligible for overtime. The others didn't get it in their contract. Okay.
So is there any possibility that we can break down the cost per use also? Like 4,000 you have identified, or maybe the traveling,
Yeah.
or accommodation and all. Is it possible that we can break down into different component, or is just like a cumulative one?
This is a cumulative
Okay.
approximate cost that you would have for that person. See, we need
No,
to.
what I'm saying is,
See, this is not the actual project cost tracking what we're doing. This is something which is going to go to the client as an understanding of how much it'll cost them.
yes.
Right. So I am going to put this as my values there to explain to the client that this is how much it will cost you. But internally I might be managing the project with much lesser money.
Agreed. What I'm trying to ask you is there any possibility that this 4,000 can be break down into different, like this 4,000 could be for your traveling and accommodation and some other things, right?
Yeah. So the cost per use is basically your addition of overhead itself.
Yes.
So it's a lump sum amount that you add, like 20% overhead costs.
So it is only the lump sum what you are putting it, right?
Yeah.
There's no possibility of breaking it down.
Percentage wise, it can be broken down. We will come to that when we are doing RBS.
Okay.
Right.
Because generally, what is happening, sir, when you are trying to reimburse your money, you have to give all the details.
Yeah.
So that is why I am asking.
So okay, there are two things here. One is this is a project cost. Okay. So what we are showing here is the amount that is going to get billed to the client. How I reimburse the person internally in my office is completely different from this. So every time this person visits your site, he's going to cost you 1,000 rupees per hour and 4,000 rupees for his travel. So that's what is being communicated to the client when we are showing this here. Right.
Okay.
Because these guys, the designers also, 300 rupees and 225, what we're writing, even though it sounds less here, but it's the billing amount for the client. How much we are billing the client for the work.
There's just an estimate. Maybe the actual will be paid later, right?
Which I actually pay the person varies from person to person, right? Each person will be having a different salary band. So, I mean, salary which we would have negotiated with. Okay. So, and there is one way, the next item which you have here after cost per use is accruing. How do you accrue this in your project costing? So either it is your billing at the start of the event. So whenever this person involved task starts, right, then you start you bill fully, or you bill at the end of the task, or you are billing pro rata basis, right? So there are three ways in which you can measure this. This is very, very helpful when you are doing EVMs. So when you want to do earned value management calculation, you will have to be clear about how this is getting billed to the client. Okay, so the most commonly accepted is pro rata basis. So we will keep it at pro rata. You can do start and end, you can do the experiment with that as well, no issues. Okay, the next thing here is the calendar, right? So whether it's a base calendar, 24-hour calendar, see these calendars which we had created last time, you can see all of them here. So let's assume that this guy is a master builder, so he has his own nags and fancies, and the others are working on a standard timeline. Okay, are we clear with this resourcing now? Now the different items which are there in the resources here. Now let me come down here and see the resource breakdown structure. You see that RBS on top here. Let us click that and see. You see it's again showing a flat structure. It's not showing me the cost roll in. So I'll come back to resources. Similar to what we did for the other exercise, we're going to do an indent here as well. And I'm going to make it clear that these three designers report into the design head. Okay, and then I'm going to have another resource here, which is going to be, let's say, my project summary. So that's going to be the cost of all the resources put together. Okay, so let me take these three components and paste them again here, but this time I'm going to call them structure and MEP. Okay, so I have these three consultants working together on this project now. I will also have a PM. I forgot about that person, and a site supervisor. Okay, so let's look at the resource breakdown structure now. Now you see there's a breakdown here and the others are looking flat. Right, that's probably because these two are not indented into my project summary. Okay, now let's see the RBS. You see what's happening here? So there's the design head for each discipline into whom the costs are rolling in, right? So let me change the name of this to make it clear. Structure, and this is MEP. Okay, so now let me create a drop down for all of them and see how my RBS looks. So here I'm telling that I have three designers whose cost is rolling into the design head of architecture, which is then rolling into the project summary. Okay, I need to delete this and this and these two. Okay, now these two guys are outdent and part of only project summary. Okay, clear? Okay, so now we have our resources in place. We know who all we want to have in this project. and how we are going to roughly allocate them with the work. Now let's come back to the tasks. Okay, let's look at the WBS before we get into changing the resources. You see the cost is still showing 0 because I have not allocated any resources yet. Let me come back to the Gantt now, Gantt view, and here let me start adding resources. So for scheme 1 here I'm going to add the resource. Let me shrink this a bit so that I can see all of that together. Yeah, I am assigning resource D1. Oh, sorry. I'll double click, I'll come to resources, and here under resources I'll put the first designer and I'll assign this person with this work. I'll say close. Okay, so designer 1 is assigned this workload. Let me come to the second one and I'm going to assign designer 2 to this work, and I'm going to say close. I'm going to come to the next one, double click, you will activate that. Under resources you go to the resource structure here, and from there you can double click on any resource and they'll get assigned that role. Okay, I'm going to say close. The next one, in schematic phase, I'm going to involve all these 3 people along with the head of design. So I'm going to come to this. I will assign design head and all the 3 designers to this task of schematic design. Okay, and I'm going to say close. Let's scroll to the tasks to be able to see that. And now you can see designer 1, 2, 3 getting assigned to those particular activities, and you can see the design head and the other 3 designers getting assigned this particular task. Are we clear till here on
Yes,
how I
sir.
came about doing this? Yeah. So now let's look at the WBS and see what changes have occurred there. You see what's happened now? There's a cost applied to this designer now based on the number of hours they were involved in the work, and there's a cost assigned to the architectural package which is coming from the head of design. Notice that the budget is still showing nil, right? There is no value being assigned to the budget as of now, and that's a problem for us because that's the first thing that we need, right? We need the budget first, and then we want to see how much it's actually costing us, isn't it? Now let's come down to resources, and here you see once we have assigned these resources to the projects, you can see a cogwheel being shown to them that is telling us that they have been assigned work in this project and they are a part of this project team now. Okay, now if I want to see the resource breakdown structure, I'm going to come down to this and notice that there is a cost being assigned to designer 1, designer 2, designer 3. Now this is based on the work that they are doing for overall work that they have been allocated in the project so far. Am I clear?
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah, so there is a difference between what is getting shown in WBS and what is getting shown here. Here it is showing totally how much this designer is going to cost in the project, whereas in WBS it's going to show for each work package how much it's going to cost. Clear?
Yeah.
This goes to the client. WBS goes to the client because the client needs to know how much is going to cost for each stage of the project or how much they have to shell out. Whereas RBS or resource breakdown structure is purely internal in nature. This is something which the project manager or the design head will have to continuously keep looking at to ensure that they are not crossing or overstepping the budget that they have in place. for that particular work. I might internally get 2 more designers to work on this project, but I have to ensure that I don't cross this amount. Get it? Now we have a problem here. Even though we are able to see some values in the WBS, we have a problem. We are not able to see the budget. Can somebody tell me how to get budget here? Any guesses how to get budget? We discussed something in the last class. A very important thing which I have not done in this right now.
Sir, applying calendar.
Okay. I've already applied the calendar, no? In the resources.
So does it have anything to do with the baselines?
Yes. Who said that? Correct. Very correct.
So Glenn,
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, Glenn. So in order for us to be able to see the budget, we need to know the baseline in the first place. Right? That is what is going to give us our budget, isn't it? So let me add a baseline to this now. Okay. I'm going to say that whatever we have right now is my baseline, and I'm going to call it baseline. Remember that you can apply up to 10 baselines, actually 11 baselines in a project for the entire project, and you can keep adding and removing the baseline. Okay. So as of now, I'm going to add the baseline, and here as we saw in the previous class, you get a light gray line underside which tells that this is the base duration and effort that is needed to do this project. Now let's look at the WBS. You see there's a budget which you can see now. Does this look interesting?
okay.
Yeah. Now you are able to see the budget, and the cost and budget is the same right now because we are assuming that the project is running 100% as it is supposed to. Isn't it? We have not done any change to the project right now. But we will come to that now. In some time we will do that as well. So you can see that the total amount and the total project summary. So all of this is getting rolled one into the other, and it's moving there. Now let me come back to the Gantt chart, and here let us say that the schematic phase, instead of finishing in 8 days, it is now going to take me 14 days. Okay. You're able to see the move from baseline now. The shift that has happened from baseline, the gray line that you can see. Yeah. Now let's come back to the WBS. You see these remain the same because the assumption is that the project has run absolutely as per plan. However, when it comes to schematic phase, the allocated budget was 1.2 lakhs, roughly 1.2 lakhs, and it's now become 2 lakhs, 2.08. This change has occurred because we have moved from our baseline, right? So as a project manager, I am now very well aware that I need to control in the next phases because I have crossed my value here. Are we clear with the concept?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now let's come back to resources, and here under resource usage, I am not doing RBS. What I am doing now is resource usage. You see this chart which you get? This is telling me how much each of this person is getting involved in the project. So at okay, let me add few more items here. So right now it's only telling me the work that is to be done here. I'm gonna come to this top left corner of my spreadsheet, right click, and I'm going to add BCWP and BCWS. Now what are those two? Can somebody tell me what is BCWP and BCWS? and why is that important in project management?
Breakdown cost of work performed.
Yeah, so BCWP is budgeted cost of work performed, and BCWS is budgeted cost of work scheduled, right?
Mhm.
So these two are going to tell me, these are basically my EV and PV values, right? The planned value and the earned value. So the first one, BCWP, is going to give my earned value, and BCWS is going to give my planned value. Notice that they are all coming grade, and I'm not getting any change to do there. That's because what I can control is only the time input. How much work did we actually do? So here I'm going to say work, and then I'm going to put in actual work. Notice this actual work which is now got added here.
Sir, can you do it once again?
Yeah, just a minute. I'll remove this. I'll remove all of them. Let me just show one by one. So when you come to the default resource usage tab, you will be able to see all the resources in your project and how many hours they have been assigned as work. Right?
Hmm.
Here,
Right.
this is only showing the work that has been assigned to them based on the program. Right? Based on the project plan which we have put in place, this is the work that has been assigned to them. So this person has been assigned 8 hours per day for 3 weeks based on the schematic and all that stuff. So now what I want to do is actually start capturing how much they worked. What is the actual amount of work they did? Right. So what I'll do is I will come to the top left corner here of the spreadsheet, right click, and I will add actual work. Okay. So now let's assume that this person on the first day didn't work for 8 hours. He worked only for 6 hours. The next day he worked for 12 hours. The next day he worked for 12 hours. The next day he worked for 12 hours. The next day for 12 hours. Now notice that it opens up Saturday and Sunday also for me. It's not locking me on those Saturday and Sunday because in real life project scenario, I might end up working on those days as well. Isn't it? To deliver the project, I might be working on those days as well. So I'll just say he works 5 hours on these 2 days as well. Okay. Now there's definitely some change, right, to the actual cost incurred versus what was budgeted. So I want to see the difference between those two. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a BCWP and BCWS. Okay. So when I do this, notice what it shows here.
1125.
Yeah, the person was supposed to cost me 2400 on that week or that day. He costed me 1125.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now here on the next week, in the next week, let's say. Sorry.
So I just have a doubt.
Yeah.
If for 8 hours is supposed to cost 2400, how is he becoming 1125 for 6 hours?
I'll come to that because we are yet to fill his schematic phase work.
Okay, alright.
Yeah. So we have still not added hours to these guys. Right. So let me do that as well. Let me capture his hours here on schematic design. Let's say this he does all 8 hours. Okay. I'm considering that he's doing overtime there. Okay. Now let's come back to the task here and look at WBS. You notice the change here? notice the effort additional here? This person ended up doing extra work, right?
Yes.
And
Yes, sir.
that effect is showing in the overall calendar as well. Is it clear? So there are two ways of tracking this. One is I move the project elements here, or I start capturing the actual usage. Once I have allocated everybody, I can start tracking their actual hours on the project, and that will also keep affecting my planning, project planning here, right? And the amount is going to show up in my RBS as well. You see, this guy is now costing more. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Now let's come back to the Gantt chart, and here let's see how this is impacting the project, or that earned value management graph. You people have seen that graph, the EVM graph. Hello,
No, sir.
No, sir.
you've not seen the EVM graph. Okay, so let me just create that one. When I click on this chart here, right next to this, we had seen this in the previous class, histogram. This can show me the the number of hours people are allocated in the project, right? Whether it's somebody is overburdened or less burdened, I can see that here. You see, this person is being given more than 100% work. This person is doing actual 100% work. Design head, their project contribution was supposed to be 20% only, but that person also ended up doing 100% work. That's because I added more hours to the schematic stage, right? Are we clear about that concept here? We are able to see how many hours extra they are doing here as well. Now let me get to the next graph here. You see, this is going to show me the work done, right? And it is showing me cumulative effect. So now I want to see actual work as well. Work with actual work, and I want to see the baseline work. I want to see these three things. Okay. So you see, the green line here is telling me what was the actual amount of work that was supposed to happen, how much work has happened, and what's the actual work cost. The actual work that has happened is this, and this is how the work was planned. Now it is showing me that error because I have not changed any values for designer 2 and designer 3. But once I start capturing everybody's data, I'll be able to see this graph a lot more clearer, right? So this graph is purely going to help me with my EVM projections when I have to do it to the client and to the project manager, or the project manager does it to the client and the consultants.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it a kind of S curve?
Yeah, this is an S curve, correct.
Okay.
EVM is an S curve only. That is what I asked. No? You people have seen that graph, EVM.
We are confused with the moving parts. S curve we know.
Okay. So what is the S curve?
S curve is basically whatever the planned versus actuals.
EV.
So
No?
we will
EV
just try
versus
to.
PV gives you the AV,
Yeah.
right? So that's the earned value management graph,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
So that is what we calculated now in this resource usage as well. The BCWP and BCWS basically is telling you the EV and PV. It's giving you those two values,
Okay.
right? So let us come back to this now. And here you see, I didn't do this. The program has understood that this work has completed, right? And it's given it a tick. That means this work is over. It cannot affect the project timeline anymore. It has already affected whichever way it had to. So you see that green tick mark which says the task is completed and it is now out of the critical path. So the new critical path is absolving that task. I hope we are clear with that, right? When it comes as a tick there.
So green tick mark, sir, is the vertical line that you see.
Yeah, this one at the first.
Okay.
Can you see it at
Okay.
the first
Okay.
there? So that is telling that
Yeah.
the task has been completed, 100% over.
Okay. Okay.
Right. So when we allocated the hours and we said work over under the resources, it is bringing that data back to the timeline as well, the chart as well.
Mhm.
Okay, and it's telling that that task is over. Now,
Mhm.
uh, let me show a few more interesting things which you need to do with the chart here. Let us add another column here. Insert column. Okay, let me just show it again. You need to come to this spreadsheet area in your project. You can either do a right click at the top left corner of the spreadsheet and you can see different types of charts that you can bring up here, spreadsheets that you can bring up here. But now let me consider that I am going to create a custom. So I'm going to add a column here and I want to see we were talking of something in the beginning, no? lag and float,
What?
right? So let me see the lag. What was the other word for that? Float, right?
Float.
Slack, free slack. This is what
Yeah.
is the word for it in Project Libre. So you see it's showing me the free slack here and it's telling me that
Yes.
this task has 79 days of free float available. Note that this is free float, this is not the total float. Okay, so let's add another column here and now I'm going to add another column which tells me the total slack. I think that is also there. Yeah, total slack. You see that? This task now has 5 days of slack, whereas these two tasks have 0 days of total slack available. Whereas in free slack they had -5. This is unaffected, it still has 79. Let us do something to understand how the free slack and total slack values can change. Now let's assume that this activity, instead of starting it on 25th, okay, instead of starting it on 25th, I will put a condition which says authorities will not be available to me till a particular date. Okay, so here I'm going to put a constraint to this. I'm going to say that this task cannot start before a particular date. That's because the authorities will be available for approvals only on that date. Okay, so I'll say start no earlier than, and I'm going to give it a date now. I will make it start on let's say 1st of July. That's when the our lockdown ends then. Okay, so nobody is available in the BBMP office to sign until then. Okay, so by default it was 24th of June, but I have now made it mandatory to move to 1st of July because I presume that that is the date when people will be available to take up that activity. Okay, approval activity. So I am putting a constraint to that activity now and I am going to say close. Notice there are two things which have happened. This has moved from its original location, and not just that, you see a calendar icon which has come up here right next to that activity, which tells that there is a constraint which has been applied to this activity.
Okay.
Okay, so this way you can make it more and more concrete, so you can make it as realistic as possible. So certain people in the project are not available on a particular day, you can move the task to the day they are available and say that it cannot start before this day. You can also alter your calendar, which we saw last class. You can make a person's individual's calendar different, right? So here this task is now moving to that date, and let's see what it does to the free slack and total slack. You see this, from 79 days he's lost those 4 days because of the conditional constraint we have,
Hmm.
right?
Okay.
Yeah, is this interesting?
Yes, sir.
Now if I want to see this constraint or this float visible on the chart, right? I want to see that on the chart so that I know which activities have how much slack available. If I am someone who's more interested in graphical representation than charts like this, I will use the bar style option. Remember we saw this last time, right? We could switch on and off the baselines. Let me add a total slack here, and you see the total slack. Let me zoom out a bit so that we can see the activity. You see the slack that this activity has.
Hmm.
So I've made a mistake somewhere then, right? This activity cannot be so free floating. So what is the mistake that I've done? I need to put a restriction for this activity with this task as well, right? I think that's the mistake I made. This activity needs to finish before this task. That is also important for us, no? Isn't it? Now you see the difference. The total slack has reduced to 3 days now.
Hmm.
Yeah. So the authority approval needs to finish before CD. I made a mistake there. So this is what will happen. Change. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You need a lot of practice.
But it's fun to do. You can
Yeah.
see that. Yeah. At any given point of time, you can come to a particular activity. If you are not comfortable with doing it in the spreadsheet area here, you can come to a particular activity and assign resources directly there. You see that? So I can select this activity, and I can also change the way this appears. Okay, split is another concept that I need to explain. Let me just get into that now. Now that we have put in resources, we have put in the amount that the resources are spending or the time that they are spending on the project and how the project is planned overall. I'm able to see my WBS, RBS, all that is good. My networking, I'm able to see my CPM, yeah, critical path I'm able to see, and I'm able to track it here. Task usage, how much was assigned to each task and how much did we end up doing, that is seen here. Now this data gets pulled from your resource data that you put in, right? But here it shows
Hmm.
with respect to the task rather than with respect to the resource, right?
Hmm.
So here when I am putting schematic phase, it will show the total of the schematic phase based on the hours that I allocate to each of this person, the 3 designers and the design head. Okay. Now at any given point of time in my project setup, I want to see the current status. What is the status today? How do I do that? That's what we are doing this whole exercise for, right? We want to understand how we can use it for our project management, right? And understand, get a clear picture of the current status. So for us to do that, we can get into what is called as information, right? When you get into information, oh sorry, I'm in the wrong place. Here under file, when I do information, right, just note this. You will end up making the same mistake that I was making otherwise. I was in task bar. So here whatever it shows is related to tasks activity, and here when it shows related to resource activity. I wanted to see the overall project status, so I need to come into the project which is under file. There I need to come to project bar, and here when I click on information, it will show up this project detail to me, and here it's telling that it's a forward schedule and all the information. You can see now it's getting populated. Remember last time when we saw all of this was showing 000 in the last week's class, but now since we have started populating the values, it's giving us these. Now I want to look at the project status as of today. So what I will do is I will the project started today, sorry. So let me say I want to see the status on 26th, okay, 26th morning. And I will say close. Okay, as of this date, let's assume that this work has completed only 50%, this work has completed only 20%, yeah, and I am looking at the information on next month, June, let's say 3rd. So it's going to be a slightly tricky one. Or okay, let me just keep this to today's date. I'll change something else which is easier to do. What I'll do is I'll start the project 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before. Okay, so that will be an easier one to do because I'll be able to see the situation today. And here I'm going to add another column now, which is called the BCWP and BCWS. Okay, so this is telling me the status as on today. If I had started the work 2 weeks back, this is how much I would be sitting at, the current status. Let us clear the baseline, it's confusing, and create this new baseline. Okay, so this is the new project baseline, and see it says now the baseline, I have made this the new baseline, so my project cost is also got updated now. It says the task was 1800 rupees and it's taken only 1800 rupees, right? The first task, design scheme task. Now at any given point of time, if I want to move to update, say for instance I click on this update, it will ask me on what date do I want to update, and I'll say for 25th make all the project status as per the calendar. That is by using this option, adjust percent complete according to the date, and I'll say OK, and you see what has happened. Is it clear what happened there? It is taking that day as 100% task completed, and it's showing me the next activity from there on. Yeah. Notice that
Yes,
the
sir.
value, the BCWP and BCWS is also changed. Clear? Was this clear as a concept?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, okay. Anirudh had asked, right, on how to change language and currency, or is it default? So that
Yeah, yes, sir.
option
Yes.
is available here on the top right corner. So this has been a very recent addition. It was not there until previous year. We used to do manual text editing to change languages, but now you have that option here. When you click on that globe at the top there, you have this default language. You can choose one of these languages. You have certain codes there. So for instance, you can do this in Hindi. Okay, so HI is for Hindi, and the country will be sorry, India, and I'm gonna say okay. For that to take effect, I need to save the project first, close it, and then open it again. Now here, when I close the project at this location, it's only going to close that particular project. It's not going to close the entire interface. But for me to see the effect of the changes, I will have to close all the projects, okay, and then open it again. So this is what we had created. Yeah, you see that? It's all in Hindi now. Sorry, while dragging I changed the dates here, but you can see the thing is now in Hindi. You also have Tamil available there, and if somebody is interested in writing this program in Kannada, you're more than welcome. I think the Project Libre community is actively looking for translators for various languages. You can help them with any language that you want this program to be available in.
Why this project summary is not coming in Hindi, sir?
Which one?
The very first one. Design scheme to.
These are values which we have typed in
Okay.
English.
So you have to type in Hindi.
Yeah, you need to have the Baraha or which is that other keypad in which you can type in
Hmm.
Hindi. So you need to have those keypads in place. But the currency, the time, and everything will be auto updated in.
Rupees.
Yeah. So you can see that in that script. It's the language thing is not very fine polished yet. It still needs a lot of working, but nevertheless, it's a very good progress. Actually, in the last 2 years,
So when we change the country, does the unit of currency also changes, sir?
yeah, you can change that. So let us look at that example.
So does it automatically change when we change the country?
Yeah, let me do that now. Let me take, let's say, UK, and I will change the country also to. Where did that go? Yeah, England, no? I don't know. Britain.
You can London, you can
No,
type L, sir.
this will be country.
That's a country. This is countries.
So I'm not sure whether it's saved as England or UK, Egypt, Spain. The thing is, it's not in alphabetical order. It's actually in the order of the language.
Europe, you can. So I think it is past United Kingdom.
It was there, is it? Yeah, it's there.
Yeah,
Good,
yeah.
good, 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 good. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to say okay, and you have to close and open again for that to take effect. Yeah. So you see the date time format also changes based on that country. Oh, I think I chose the wrong country. I think I ended up choosing Ukraine. Sorry, my mouse is acting a little funny. No, no, it's showing the currency correctly. Okay, the language I chose was wrong. So you can make a mix and match. This is a very good example you can see here. The language I chose for Ukraine, so it's showing that language, but country I chose England, so it's showing me the currency in GBP. Okay, so
Right, right,
this
right.
should have been English or default. EN, EN is English. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So I think it's 10:30. We'll have to stop now. Um, we might need one more class. There are some more topics which I couldn't cover. Are you guys okay with next week as well?
Yes, sir.
Or had too much of this software?
No, sir. It's good. We can practice it, and if we have anything, then we can just connect back again. Then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very little remaining, so we can probably wind it up quickly next week when we do it. But any queries that you people have from the last class and whatever we have done today?
From last class, actually, I tried when I linked all those projects, and then I was trying to drag with these things, whatever you have shown. I don't know, somehow, I was not able to connect it. So that is one thing. I don't know, maybe I need more practice with it. And the another thing with this is like we were trying to change the dates. Like say if the project is for the duration is for 40 or 50 days. So if I'm putting a start date, so I don't know, the finish date was taking. So if maybe for the design scheme, I have from 24 to say it is for 7 days, right? So now the date from 24 to 7 days it should take it, but I'm just getting some different date altogether, even if I'm changing it. I don't know if I need to change it manually or it will take
Yes, sir.
yeah
I'm also having the same
automatically.
problem when I link two things, the date automatically changes to something completely random.
Okay.
As in, it increases more than it's supposed to.
Yeah, yeah. And even the linking problem was really there. Like when I try to link it with the arrow, drag and link it, so it was not happening.
Okay. So let us look at one example here. Let's do a dummy project. Let me just give it a dummy name, and I'll say okay. So let me add a couple of activities here. Okay. So 10. Okay. So 15, 14, and 25. Okay. So you're telling me when you're linking this to this, like that,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
Say I want to link the first to fourth, so I was not able to do it directly.
First to fourth should happen. Okay, once you are doing this, right? Once you're connecting the two activities, it is always good to come back uh, here. Just scroll down slightly here and see whether it's connected to the correct predecessor. Okay, and one of the reasons why these dates would go haywire would be you would have either chosen a calendar unknowingly, like for instance, see this task would have a default calendar, right? Task calendar. If you would have unknowingly clicked on 24 or night shift or master builder, the calendar would act differently.
Sir, I have doubt here.
Yeah.
Like custom calendar is not showing here, sir. Like in task calendar
Okay.
when we want to assign directly.
Okay. So there can be two possible reasons. One is it's taking time to fetch the data. So if I am taking this and let's say I want to create a new custom calendar, so I'm going to use default and I'm going to say new. Okay. And let's say this is a random calendar. I'm just naming it random. I want to have Wednesdays as non-working time. So I want to make Wednesdays off for this person, random person. Now you must be thinking that it should be available, right? But sometimes it does act funny. It might not necessarily show you. Okay. So when I come to the task calendar here, you see it's not showing me right now,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
right? There are two ways of resolving this. One is you save, close and open. Okay, I made some mistake there. It's showing me here. I'll say okay. Project live error. Just a minute. Sorry, I made a mistake there. Okay, let me just add task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4. Okay, and I will add summary. Let us say all these are part of this, and this task is 10 days, this task is 15 days, 14 days and 14 days. Okay, so we're just trying to quickly create one here and see what can be the possible error that you're seeing. I connect this task to here, this task to task number 4, but this task to this task. Okay, and I'm going to create a connection between these two tasks as well, but what I'm going to tell this task is that this is a start to start with a 2-day lag. Okay. Oh sorry, I took the wrong connection. Undo. Let me come to this here, predecessors. I want to make this start to start. Okay, I'm gonna give it a lag of say 5 days. Was it clear what I did just now?
Yes, sir. Sir, one more thing that was happening was when I say if I linked task 1 and 2 and say task 1 is 10 days and task 2 is 15 days, when I linked those two together, it gave me more than 25 days. It came some 30 days, 44 days, something like that.
Yeah, that
So I
would
couldn't.
happen because of the Saturdays and Sundays in your calendar.
Okay, okay. But even then, it should be only an increase of 1 or 2 days, right?
No, no.
As in the weekends.
10 plus 15, 25 days. This will be spread
Okay,
over
each of the weeks weekends. Okay,
it
okay,
will be
okay.
spread over 3 weeks, right? So that means it'll
Okay,
add
okay.
2 plus 2 plus 2.
Right,
So yeah,
right,
so that would be the error that you will see. For that
right.
reason only we had done that exercise. You remember?
Yeah,
We had taken those 3-4 different types of tasks. All have been assigned 10 days, but depending on the calendar which that follows, it might finish in 5 days, it might finish in 15 days, it might take 20 days. So if you would
right,
have
right,
done
right.
any customized calendar, unknowingly would have assigned that calendar, then it would
Right,
become a wrong entry, or it would show the entry according to that calendar.
right, right.
Okay. So now
Okay.
let's come back to the calendar here. So we have 3 different calendars here. Let me create a new calendar, and I'm going to call it Thursday off. Okay. So there is this person who's going to have Thursdays as off. So I'm going to make it non-working time for that person, and I'm going to say okay. Okay. So let's assume that task 3, the person who's working on task 3, which is right now a critical task, this person is going to be working on, see, that Thursday off calendar. So I think Renu, you asked this question, no? The calendar
Yes,
not
sir. Yes,
working.
sir. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I tried, but
there might be 2 reasons. One is you would have tried a lot of experimenting with Project Libre, and it would have gone bonkers. You just close it once and reopen it. The database should work properly after that.
okay, okay, sir.
Okay. Or the other option, other problem might be that when you created the calendar, it you didn't create it as. Okay, let me just show that. When I am creating a new calendar type here, and if I say use default, or when I am saying new and I say make a copy,
Yes, sir. I gave make a copy of.
so that was one of the mistakes that I had also done when I was showing. So of the 2 options. So when you do that,
Okay,
make a copy of the calendar. What happens is that calendar can be applied only to resources and not to the task.
okay, okay, sir.
Okay, it was out of habit. I did that because we generally make calendars for the resources based on their availability. But if you
Okay,
want
sir.
to
I
make
tried.
it related to task, you just create a new base calendar, name it the way you want to, and you run it. It will work.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I think we'll wind up. Where you might be having a next class now. Even I have one at 11:15. So see you all.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.